Okay, I do believe we are live. Hello, everyone. I'm Lonnie,
Clockwork Calamity.
and we are Untitled Nerd Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux and your local Satanist out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Here with, okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the movie to begin with, spoiler free.
Yes.
I think that would be a good thing, so people can at least
Like
watch
a
the
general idea
beginning
of how
and
we
get
felt.
our initial thoughts on
Yeah.
it, and then afterwards we'll give a spoiler warning, and I've already got like a little scrolling thing happening where we can pop it up at the top of the screen. Okay, so we literally just got in from watching Pet Cemetery at the Northgate Cinema up here in Hickson, and it was interesting to say the least. Oh my god, I gotta turn it down. There we go. Keep in mind we are doing this live.
Issues.
We are doing this live. You can watch live, comment, talk to us in the chat, or if you're watching the archived version, feel free to leave a comment anyway. Hit the like button, like our page. Okay, Pet Cemetery, spoiler free version is this family moves into this house out in the Maine countryside. That's the state of Maine,
Mm-hmm.
which is where all of Stephen King's books take place. Um, they move in there. There's like a pet cemetery behind their house. Come to find out, a few miles back in the woods, there's also an Indian burial ground. And whenever you bury something, whether it be a cat, dog, person, you bury them in there. A few hours later, boop, they pop back up, alive again, but not quite the same. And I guess the moral of the story is dead is better.
Yep. That's one of the
It's
movie's
like you got to
headlines for
learn
both
to
of them.
you got to learn to deal with that loss.
Right.
um, you know the I've read Stephen King's autobiography, Own Writing, which is an amazing read if you ever get the opportunity. And he talked about how Pet Cemetery, he wrote that book, thought it was too screwed up. He was like, this does not need to go to market. And he basically put it in an envelope, the manuscript, put it in the bottom of his desk, and forgot about it. Well, he had already written like half a dozen pretty decent books by that point that had gotten published, Carrie and a few others.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he said his wife was digging through all of his stuff, found the manuscript, and was like, what's this? Sat down, read the whole thing, and was like, you have to publish this. This is your best book ever.
And
And
we were not quite the same. Okay, so just a little background.
uh-huh.
I am horrible about consuming media, which is kind of ironic considering that I'm on this stream. But so I actually watched the original 1989 Pet Cemetery for the first time last night.
Yep.
And for those of you that have seen the original, there are two gray cats in this house. So I love Loki and Freya,
Well,
but I'm not feeling terribly snuggly towards them right now.
Well, here's the thing. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because anybody who watches our streams regularly know the cats.
Yeah.
Loki looks like Church in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Freya looks more like the cat
Yeah.
in this one because this cat, I don't know.
It's like it looks like a Maine Coon,
Yeah. And if you
which would make sense because it's
if you like go back after this video and look at our previous 2 or 3 posts, I actually posted a picture of the original hardcover cover to Pet Cemetery, and lo and behold, that cat looked a lot like Freya, looked a lot like the
Yeah.
movie cat for this new one.
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna say some mild spoilers. Most of this stuff that
Can we have a one spoiler free comparison real quick?
okay.
I just want to say, like, for people that don't want spoilers, I would say definitely, even if you saw the original, you're not gonna have the current one completely spoiled for you. Like, they made enough changes that
Yeah, well, the minor
Yeah.
spoiler I was going to say was actually in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
They made it a point to show in the trailer that instead of Gage dying, like in the original and in the book, that Ellie died in this one. They
Mm-hmm.
did show that. Like, I knew that going in,
Mm-hmm.
but then at the same time, okay, we're gonna look. Okay, just
We're just gonna go in.
really quick thoughts,
Uh-huh.
really quick, spoiler free, um, kind of review. Like, what are you? Good movie, bad movie, scale of 1 to 10.
I liked it. It messed with my head. Especially like they purposely went out of their way to like lead you into thinking something was going to happen the same in both movies and then use that to mess with your head and be like no actually this is not going to happen this way.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that and it pissed me off, which I guess if you have strong feelings they're doing their job as
Which
creators.
the movie probably in certain parts was a lot better to you than it was me because
Mm-hmm.
I had seen the trailer and I knew that the little girl was going to die instead. But
I really enjoyed that change actually.
I think it made for a. I don't want. Look, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know Pet Sematary is one of my favorite Stephen King books. Like, to me, Pet Cemetery, It, and 11/22/63 are like the holy trinity of Stephen King books for me.
Interesting. Okay.
There are other books of his that I really enjoy, but those are my top three. As far as novels, I do have like some short story collections and stuff that I really like. But
Okay.
this movie was freaking amazing. I don't know if it. I don't know if 30 years from now we'll be
Mm-hmm.
talking about this movie the way 30 years later we're still talking about this one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um,
The only thing I will say is like I feel like the special effects in this one will hold up a lot better
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you give?
because
What do you give this one on a scale of 1 to 10?
on a scale of 1 to 10,
Yep, that's the UNN
I
way.
really like psychological horror, and I really really like that they purposely led you to believe certain things were going to be the same and like messed with you. And so I honestly I'm gonna give it I might give it a solid 10.
Wow.
Yeah, like I it's been a really long time since I've actually been sucked in and like thoroughly impressed with a horror movie. Like it's been a long time.
You know what? I'm going to surprise
So,
everybody. I'm going to give it a 10 as well. Just
perfect
because,
rating.
yeah,
Dang.
well, I mean, we do have what they call an 11, which
Mhm.
is like Blockbuster. We're going to be talking about this 25 years from now. I wanted to go right back and watch it again type stuff. This movie didn't live up quite to that, but it
Mhm.
was just a good, perfect horror film.
Mhm. It
They
was
didn't rely too heavily on jump scares,
mm-mm.
but they were there, and
Right.
there were three or four things that really just scared the piss out of me in this movie,
Mhm.
just jump scare wise. And you're right, psychologically, this entire movie deals with death and grief.
Mhm.
That's the core, and to be honest, that's the core of all horror
Yeah.
is death, and this just tackles
Like
it
it
head on.
stares it right in the eyes.
It
Yeah.
does. It tackles it
Literally right in
hard.
the eyes.
And I'm like number one, we could all we've all dealt with the loss of a pet.
Mhm.
We've all dealt with the loss of a loved one to some extent,
Mhm.
whether it be parent, grandparent, you know, child, even sibling. You know, everybody's dealt with loss in some respect. People
Mhm.
have different ways of handling that. People have different beliefs, and it's kind of like zombies in a way. If you have a loved one who is dead, but you have the opportunity to bring them back,
Mhm.
who wouldn't be tempted? It was
Right.
like,
Like it's easy to sit there and go, "Oh, this is a horror movie. Obviously, this is a terrible idea. Why would you do that?" But we haven't ever actually in real life been faced with a decision like that
yeah, like if you
because
had,
it's not, I mean, obviously it's not real life,
it was
but
like if something happened to like one of the pets, you know, like
mhm.
God forbid, and this old man came up to me and said, "Hey,
If you bury him in this weird spot, he'll come
there's
back.
this place over here in the woods,
Mhm.
literally 500 feet out in the woods. You can walk out there. Kind of dangerous to get there, but if you bury the cat there, he'll come back before morning. Because
Yeah.
your first thought is, oh, my cat is different. It'll
Hmm.
be good. It won't have a problem.
Right.
It was kind of like what, mild spoiler, the Judd Crandall, the old man in this movie, said something along the lines of, oh, my dog way back when he was already had kind of a mean streak,
Hmm. But that
but I
cat was
figured,
so sweet.
yeah, your cat was sweet, your cat was
Hmm.
loving, your cat hopped up in your lap. He was like, I just thought it would be different. And it becomes even worse, I think, when you're faced with a spouse or a child,
Yeah.
somebody who is taken 60 years before their time, or
Hmm.
somebody that has been like your other half forever and suddenly they're gone. And in that fit of grief stricken emotion,
Hmm.
this is really deep
It
for
is.
for what we normally
Well,
talk about
it
on here.
is, but I mean, it's psychological horror, and it's dealing with really heavy subjects.
Hmm.
Like, it doesn't necessarily deal with them in quite so heavy a manner, but like, it begs the question, like, what would you do if it was up to you? You know?
No,
And
nobody can say
yeah,
what they would do. Like I could sit
right.
here all day long and say nope,
Mm-mm.
because I know it would turn out bad and
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. But when you're,
Yeah, I mean, like, so I watched when I watched the original last
mhm,
night. My fiance watched it with me. He
mhm.
was sobbing in the end.
Look,
Like,
I'll
he was absolutely like a mess, and because
had he
you're
seen the film?
he, I think he had seen it before. Yeah, he had
Okay.
seen it before. It's been a while, but he's a big Stephen King fan too. But um, it's just you're watching this man deal with all of these difficult decisions by himself, and like, I mean, because the family was gone, he's just in the house by himself, and just all these terrible things keep happening, and he's just alone dealing with it by himself. Like, of course he would.
That was the most horrible decision for
Yeah.
him to make. I just
Yeah.
want to be alone. Um,
Right. Right.
okay, we are now going to go into what we like to call spoiler territory. So I'm going to go
Mm.
ahead and throw that
Spoilers.
disclaimer up there. And this is basically from here on, we're going to spoil the hell out of this movie. Nothing is off
Mm.
limits. We're just going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So up there, that thing is scrolling. It's giving you a warning. If you want to cross that barrier,
Here we are.
yeah.
Time to run away has passed.
I should have got a
And
picture of like the old, like brambles and logs and stuff and
oh my god.
posted it on the screen real quick. The spoiler barrier was not meant to be crossed.
All right. Anyway.
Okay, so of course, big differences. The daughter, the older daughter,
Mm.
Ellie, she died instead of Gage.
Right.
And the fact that she could talk, because
Mm-hmm.
Gage in the first one, of course, everybody, that's horrible. Oh, little kid, I can't believe they
Yeah.
went there. In the book and the original movie, oh, it sucked. Gage died. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it got me more emotionally tonight seeing the older daughter die. Um,
Well, that and coming, like, everybody else was dead except Gage. Gage was the last man standing.
that was
That
the big
hit me
twist at
right
the very end.
here.
So like really quick. First,
Anyway.
you have the cat die.
Mhm.
Look, we're going to go through the sequence real quick.
Okay.
You have the cat die. Okay, church is dead. Well, the old man across the street, he decides, hey, we don't need to let Ellie know this. We need to go bury this cat up here in this burial ground. They go out there. They do allude to the Wendigo in this one a lot
Mm-hmm.
more than they did in the first one. That was really cool. So they bury the cat. The cat comes back. A little bit later, during Ellie's ninth birthday of all things,
Mm-hmm.
she gets hit by a truck. They kind of throw you a curveball and make you think that
Yeah.
Gage is going to get it again, but
Yep.
nope, he doesn't. And you could tell that the cat, the burial ground has a power almost like a hypnotic power, or almost a like a way to influence things. And the burial ground wanted Ellie
Yeah.
because it sent the cat walking up the road even after um, Lewis had taken the cat far away, dropped
Mm-hmm.
him off because he knew the cat was evil. And then the cat came walking back up the road. Ellie ran out there, got hit by a truck. And
Mm-hmm.
it was gruesome how it happened
Mm-hmm.
because the dude was trying to avoid Gage, who was driving the truck, slammed on the brakes. The thing jackknifed, and the big tanker like broke off of the truck and
Mm-hmm.
skidded into Ellie
Yep.
and like killed her and knocked her off. And so
So they snatched up Gage, and then Ellie was the one that got hit in the process. They were all in the road.
yeah, but they managed to miss.
It did make more sense the way they did it in this one too. Like, you're not going to be sitting there flying a kite with your kid and then all of a sudden he's in the road,
Yeah,
but being blindfolded and spun around because you're going to hit a pinata, it makes a lot more sense.
a lot of this movie made more sense
Yeah.
than the original, and I think they here's well anyway, like I've got all kinds of crap to talk about.
Right. Right.
Okay, so
I can suspend my disbelief for the people and the cat coming back from the dead, but I can't suspend my disbelief for a 2-year-old murdering all the adults with a scalpel blade.
yes, 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 yes. So
It's a struggle.
we had Ellie dies. Well, then they go, basically Lewis.
All the family is in town for the, like, they, instead of going off to Chicago to like be more comfortable again like they do in the original, they all get together in Maine. Cats are,
That's not some good Pet Cemetery
I don't
noises,
I
is
don't like that. The cats are getting angry. They're not normally like that. But I completely lost my train of thought. But in this one, instead, they have the entire family come to the house for Ellie's birthday.
Yeah.
It's not like going to visit the family in Chicago for Christmas. That was a really arbitrary change that they made.
Yeah.
Is that instead of being from Chicago, in this one, they're now from Boston.
It was still that time of year, though. That same,
Yeah.
borderland.
Yeah, because Church
borderline
died on
holidays.
Halloween.
So they have that, and then basically Lewis drugs, puts some sleeping stuff in Judd's like whiskey. They're
Yeah,
out there
we'll say it's
drinking together.
whiskey.
Sneaks off, digs up his daughter, buries her out there, and she comes back. Well, she quickly realizes, hey, Judd wants to get rid of me, and so she sneaks over to Judd's house, kills him, and it was creepy because she was wearing the mask.
Yep.
All the kids locally, you'll see some stuff in the trailers where the kids are like, it makes it look like almost like a little cult thing. In the trailer, it showed of them walking up the pet cemetery and all their bunny mask and cat mask and stuff. That was just the kids having a funeral procession for a lost pet, and they all wore animal masks as like it looks creepy, but it wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
The kids weren't trying to be creepy. And so they end up, burying Ellie. She comes back, she kills Judd. And it was really creepy how I don't know, like, the burial ground was doing all this psychological BS to people.
And she like morphed into his deceased wife.
Yeah.
And is talking to him in her voice instead. I also really appreciated the like allusion to where she was gonna slice his Achilles tendon from under the bed like Gage did.
Yeah,
And then he like just kicked the bed out and there was nobody there. I'm like,
like, yeah, they did some really good curveballs that were nods to the original movie.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. It's like, oh, you think this is going to happen just like in the original? Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Is it? No, it's not. And then,
oh, but wait, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Just not yet.
So, he ends up dying, and then Rachel comes home with Gage and quickly realizes, holy crap, my daughter's alive. This is not right. we got to leave. We got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes up there. Lewis thinks that zombie Ellie, has
Mm-hmm.
run outside, so he runs out to look for her. Well, zombie Ellie, runs up, kills her mother, and then
Yep. Because
knocks out Lewis.
yeah.
Well, then Lewis wakes up and is just about to kill Ellie. He's like got her pinned down and is getting ready
Mm-hmm.
to just kill her. And before he can, he's stabbed through the chest from behind by Rachel, who
Yep.
has returned from the dead.
Yeah, because once Ellie killed her, she dragged her off into the burial grounds,
Yeah,
so she would come back.
Ellie dragged her all the way out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is freaking crazy. And then,
Some supernatural
but
stuff.
what sucked is right before all this happens, Lewis locks Gage in the car, locks him
Yep.
in the car, and it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
look, don't let anybody in here, even your mother.
That's right, because the mom was trying to escape Ellie, so she like broke out a window and like basically tossed Gage out the window to the dad who
Yeah.
was outside on the ground. They locked him in the car and then went about their murdering spree.
Yeah, and he told Gage, he's like, do not let anybody in this car. Don't let your sister in here. Nobody. And, Gage is old enough to understand it. So after all this, and that, obviously Rachel and Ellie take Lewis's body out to the Indian burial ground. The movie ends with Gage laying there asleep in the car, and he wakes up and looks off, and his whole family, sister, mother, dad, are walking towards him after setting fire to Judd Crandall's house across the street. Walking towards him, and then
Church hops up in the windshield, licking
Yeah.
his chops.
Church hops up in the windshield, and Lewis walks up and taps on the glass and pops the lock,
Cut,
and that is the end. So
like looking at you with those big old little 2-year-old eyes.
he could tell something wasn't right, but he didn't
Yeah.
quite know what.
Yeah, I mean,
That
like
was messed up.
what toddler is not gonna answer the door for their dad? You know, like I'm not choking it. What are you talking about? Anyway.
I mean, it was messed up because it makes you think, holy shit. That is
Yeah.
this movie in a nutshell. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's how to describe this movie.
So what do you think happens to Gage? Like, do you think they kill him?
I hate to
Do
be
you
the
think
bearer
they
of bad
just
news, but I
pretend?
really think that he dies, and
I mean, he doesn't live a normal life, that's for sure.
yep, he dies. Nobody. It would be days, weeks, even of Lewis not showing up for work, and nobody been able to get a hold of him, and and then they'll show up, and I don't know
Maybe they
what.
just go on a continuous murdering spree. Kill the baby, drag him out, and have a whole little happy family. Because that was their goal.
I guarantee
Oh,
they
man.
could wipe that town out
Oh, yeah.
before anybody knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Just go in there at night, kill people. Nobody would ever suspect the little girl
Nope.
or the
would-
baby.
Right. Nobody was suspecting.
And then the cat. I mean, this movie.
Messes with your head.
Occasionally,
Real good.
there's a movie that when you're done, you go and see it on a Thursday night, and you're laying in bed the next Monday night, and you're just like,
That was fucked up.
exactly. And you're like, how am I gonna process this? Because I'll go ahead and tell you, I'll be sitting here playing a video game later tonight, or be sitting by myself tomorrow, and I'll have some epiphany about the movie, or I'll have some like, oh my god, or then and let's talk about the difference between the first movie and this one in regards to Rachel's sister.
Oh, yeah. I really liked what they did. Because, I mean, the original one, she was gone for most of the action of the movie until she came back at the very end. This one, she didn't leave until after the daughter passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And the dad still stayed behind. Who at that point he was alone, but obviously he was planning to go dig up Ellie and go rebury her.
Now, but her
And-
sister, who from what I understand, had like spinal meningitis or something
Yeah, that's what it. I think that's what they
in the
had
first
mentioned
one.
it in the first one,
So
which
I think they handled it in this one a lot better.
I have a lot of issues with medical portrayals of things because there's so many medical inaccuracies in both of those movies. But
True, but come on, don't be one of those people.
I can't help it. I was in the medical field for a long
Well, it
time.
was like there was
But
there was a lady.
um,
I love her to death. Stephanie Osborne, who was at Chattacon,
mm-hmm.
and she was the lady who did the "Kiss Your Ash Goodbye," the thing about the super volcanoes. And she strikes me as one of those people who she's so educated that
Mm-hmm.
she can't enjoy pop culture anymore. Because
I
I
struggle with that
I
sometimes.
asked her, I just had a question, and I was like, hey, could I maybe ask, in the movie 2012?
Mm-hmm.
And before I even got my question out, she was like, I'm not even going to talk about that movie. It was so inaccurate. It's not even funny. Like, don't even ask me about that movie. And I was
I
like,
mean, like, my points would be like noticing that, yeah, in the original movie, that cat was definitely sedated, like, for real.
the cat was sedated. I actually looked it up on the American Humane
Like,
site.
I've seen that look before. That is an actually sedated cat.
Have you seen Captain
um,
Marvel?
no, I
You want
haven't.
to, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll see it.
Never mind. I can't say
Um,
anything.
Also, the when Pascal died in this movie, that was the lamest attempt at CPR I've ever seen in my whole life.
I mean, I think it was legit, but also at the same time, when you have somebody whose brain is exposed, bones sticking out all over, they've lost their blood is
He wasn't
pulled
even
up.
fully extending his arms.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't really
Anyway,
I wasn't paying enough attention to that.
I was watching
Um,
him go, eh. Oh, he's gone. Okay.
let's let
Anyway,
um,
that's it. That's my
but
end of
but
picking
but
on the medical
but
side of
but her
things.
sister was. I really like the way they handled it in the newer movie
Mm-hmm.
better. Because, yeah, in the original, Rachel had some guilt because, her parents left. She was like, what, 10, 12 years
That's the
old?
point that I
She
was
got
getting
left at
at.
home with her sister who had an obvious terminal illness.
Mm-hmm.
And she, like, had an attack and died.
Yeah.
Okay? Big whoop. Yeah, she felt some guilt because, I should have been able to help my sister. Blah, blah, blah. But
Mm-hmm.
in this one, she is in charge of feeding her sister. And normally she would go upstairs, but I guess she didn't want to go upstairs and see her sister. And they
Yeah.
had this like little kind of elevator thing that
Dumb waiter.
oh, really? Is that
Yeah, it was a dumb waiter. Like
okay?
it was just big enough to fit like a tray of food in.
Yeah, basically you
Yeah.
put it looked like a little pantry. You put your food in there. You hit like a little up button,
Mm-hmm.
and like a little mini elevator takes the food up to her sister's bedroom. Well, apparently, I don't know why, but her sister ended up getting into it,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe she just was, burning up with a fever and wasn't thinking right, and was like, I need to get downstairs, and this is the only
Yeah.
way I know
Or
how.
like she tried to get up and get her food. Like I figured that she had tried to get up and get her food, and because she was so like weak and unstable, she just like stumbled and fell down the shaft.
Yeah, because I don't think they actually showed what it looked like upstairs.
Mm-mm.
So it could have very easily, like, the tray been at the back of the thing, and she like leaned in and just gave out and fell into
Yeah.
it. And yeah, her sister, she hears it, thump 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 thump, and crashes, and she's like, what? And she looks over and she opens up the thing, and the tray's laying there all destroyed and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of nowhere, her sister
Sister's body.
comes crawling. I was like, holy shit! That was one of the big holy shit moments
Yeah.
of the.
Yeah. I
'Cause
think well then there was a time like the point that I was getting at with her being gone for so much of the original movie, like they touched on that. Um but
her
this
struggles
one,
with death.
yeah, but this one you really got to see both of their psychotic breaks
Mm-hmm.
going on. Like you got to see both of them struggle with it, and that's why she left in the first place, which why when you're having PTSD flashbacks of that degree, you go back to the place where it happened. I will never know. But
They did a hell of a lot better
yeah.
job with the psychological
Oh
part
yeah.
of this.
And there was a jump scare when she was having one of her flashbacks, like
The medicine cabinet.
the medicine cabinet. Yeah, like the only time in the entire movie that I actually yelled out loud. Um,
You know,
She
I would have
was
laughed my ass off at you, but I was over there scared shitless too.
well, it was the timing of the jump scare. It was like they let her look into the like there was a really big psychological factor with Ellie when she came back and was coming after the mom. It was like she could distort your entire reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like for Judd, it was portraying his wife. For Rachel, it was basically giving her the illusion that she was in her sister's position and that she was getting all disfigured
Yeah.
and or like she's looking in the medicine cabinet. I think I might be getting things mixed up, but like
No,
she's
she looked into the medicine cabinet. See, we never actually saw the inside of the medicine cabinet. My thought to begin with was, holy crap, they've got like this hidden crawl space behind
yeah,
their medicine cabinet. Well, then she looks up and it's like the freaking
the
shaft.
dumbwaiter shaft,
And
except much more expansive.
yeah, and it was funny because, not funny, but it was off because she looks up for a while and you're like, you just about get comfortable. And you're like, okay, there's gonna be something happen,
And then they zoom back out, and then she hits.
yeah,
Like it like re-shows the sister's body falling down, and that was the jump scare that got me in the entire movie because it was just delayed enough that you got comfortable, and then which is funny because when I work in the haunted house, that's a tactic I use all the time on people.
but
Wait for people to get comfortable, and then you get them. Anyway,
now, I want to ask like really quick before we continue. Are you scared easily, like horror movies and stuff? Are you a typical horror movie fan?
I don't
Like,
know what you mean by a typical.
I'm just
but
saying, whenever there's like a scary movie coming out, are you like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I got to see that? Or are you just
I will
indifferent?
think it, and then I probably won't watch it for years or until somebody does like you did and goes, "Hey, we're gonna review this movie," and I'm like, "Oh, I guess I better actually watch it now."
Okay.
I don't. I mean, I don't watch a lot of movies in the first place
Oh,
because
I was thinking like, yeah, whatever. What?
I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to do better. I tend to watch horror movies that a lot of other people don't watch. Like I don't know what it is, but like a lot of the main ones I haven't seen, but then there's like weird stuff like Rest Stop, which I discovered in a red box a bajillion years ago that nobody has ever heard of before, but it's like one of my favorites.
I
Like
need like I was saying what I need to do like over the next couple of weeks is I need to like get a bunch of horror movies together, like the ones that because see I've got a million different movies, and we need to like watch because I've actually got a handful of movies over there that I've not even seen,
Okay.
and we need to like get together and watch like maybe an old classic film or something, like watch it and then review it for the channel like we're doing now, like
Yeah.
classic horror, well, classic.
And like I do have to say like I really like a lot of these modern remakes. Like almost every one of the main remakes I've seen. Whether I've seen the original or not is another story. But
Have you seen
like,
It Chapter 1?
I have not seen it chapter 1.
Speaking
I
of It,
said I told myself I was going to read it before I watched it, and I haven't done that. So
well, speaking of It, there was a It Easter egg in this movie.
there was.
Remember, there's a part where Rachel
Stuck in
is
traffic.
sitting on I-95 interstate trying to get home because she knows something's up. She hasn't been able to get a hold of Lewis. And there is actually a sign on the side of the road that says Dairy 20 miles. And I was like, I get that reference. So absolutely. Dairy, that's a reference. I don't know. I would love, like how they have like a DC universe, a Marvel universe. Hell, they've even got a Conjuring universe now with Annabelle and all.
Yeah.
All the movies are connected. I would love to see a Stephen King universe because all of his stuff does connect.
Yeah, well, and it all takes place in Maine, right?
90%
Yeah.
of it. Like
Yeah.
most of a pretty good chunk of 11/22/63 takes place in Derry. Of course, Pet Sematary takes place in Maine. In Pet Sematary, the book, there is a reference to Cujo.
Oh.
When the family first moves in, when the family first moves into the
That's
house in the
interesting.
book, Judd basically tells Cree or Lewis, like in the movie, the first movie, oh, you need to get that cat fixed and get his. He's like, you need to get his rabies shots and stuff. He's like,
Yeah.
rabies is a problem. There was a dog upstate a couple of years back that like killed a bunch of people and almost killed a woman. Like that
I don't
was
remember that.
he. No, it was in the book.
Oh, it was in the book. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it was a reference to Cujo,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, that's so freaking awesome. So Stephen King
Yeah.
likes putting little
Easter
hints at his
eggs.
other stories.
Maybe one day there will be a grand
I'm hoping that maybe they'll
movie.
tie in Pet Cemetery with it, because they're both ongoing movies right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I would like to see in
That
It
would be
Chapter 2 this
interesting.
fall a reference to this Pet Cemetery film. I think that'd be neat since it's
It would
modern.
be. Yeah. We
Betty's in the chat says she will never see it. She is not a big horror movie aficionado.
It's okay. I just listen to the reviews.
But I'm trying to think if there's anything that we've really missed. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and say the thing that really messed with me, the thing that screwed my mind up for this movie is soon. See, I knew that Ellie was going to die,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as her birthday party started, I was like, "This is where it's going to happen."
Mm-hmm.
And as he is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, your cat ran away," all this, and he hands her the bag. You know how, like, in the original movie, when Gage got hit by that truck, that it showed his shoe fall for,
Yeah.
like, dramatic effect? I just knew that the same thing was going to happen, but whatever was in that bag was going to fall to the ground after being hit. That ain't quite how it worked. But you were talking
What was
about
that?
the little
The
doll, the little
doll.
talking cat doll. You were
Yeah.
like, oh, it's creepy. I didn't think that. I mean, I could see where you were coming
I
from.
didn't think it in itself was creepy. I incorrectly foresaw it becoming a creepy feature once she came back.
Hmm.
Like, because like in the original, there's like the child laughter and like
Yeah.
playing with toys, noises and stuff like that. I was like, we're gonna hear that damn cat doll from beyond the grave.
Look, there's stuff that gets to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have a soft spot for stuffed animals.
Oh,
That's one of those weird things about
it's
me that
okay.
not
I have
well
a
now
weird
everybody
thing.
knows,
Yeah.
but I have a soft spot for stuffed animals. Like we were at McCade's the other day and
Mm-hmm.
Ashley found an Evie, a
Mm-hmm.
little stuffed animal Evie, and carried it around with her while she was there. And as we were getting ready to leave, she was like, "Oh, I guess I'm gonna put it back." I was like,
You're like,
"No,
no,
no,
you
it's yours
bonded.
now. You get it. Come on." And then we were in a group chat the other night, and Amber was talking about her My Little Pony Applejack
Mm-hmm.
plush animal. Its eyes were starting to mess up,
Mm-hmm.
peeling off and stuff. And I was like, I want to fix it
Just put a
because
little
I
stickers
do
on it.
I like my brain sees plush animals as
Toy Story.
yeah, kind of like that. And I just anytime I see a plush animal messed up or faded or its eyes are peeling off or somebody loves it but they've got to put it back, I'm like, let me buy this for you. I have
See,
that sentimentality towards plush animals.
I can't say anything. My heart is still broken because the red panda plush that I demolished to create my Agretzko cosplay, like I stole the tail and ears off of a red panda stuffed animal to make this cosplay. And so this poor little red panda plush is sitting in my house with stuffing come out of his ear holes and no tail, stuffing coming out of the back. And I'm gonna sew him up and put
Yes,
snaps on him so he can wear his ears and tail again.
I say do something. I mean, you could alter him,
Anyway.
but that's kind of where we're at now. Um, but yeah, the that part, number one, yeah, the little girl died. All that
Mm-hmm.
sucked. A lot worse than the toddler did. Of course, anybody who knows me could probably guess that. Um, and the fact that the stuffed animal was laying next to her on the side of the road,
Mm-hmm.
that just tugged at me. And then the fact that later her mom was cuddling with it on the bed, and I was like,
Yeah.
no, don't,
Let's also
no,
point out the fact that it was an angel cat.
yes. I didn't even think about that.
Appropriately not appropriate. Because apparently there is no heaven after all, confirmed by Ellie. Reasons why it's creepier to have a 9-year-old come back than a toddler.
Oh yeah, there was some. There, look, I'll go ahead and tell you,
Mm-hmm.
the zombie Ellie was full of shit. I think
Well,
she was just telling
yeah.
stuff to just screw with people's minds.
I don't know. But we'll never know what the truth was.
That is true because
The only truth
like
that we have is her truth.
I don't want to get into like a religious philosophical
Right.
discussion here,
I mean, we'll say
but
objective fact for this film specifically.
what happened in this film in my eyes is they're showing, hey, if this Indian burial ground has magic,
Hmm.
and then guess what? A lot of these other beliefs that you may hold might
Um,
not be, you know, in
yeah.
this movie universe, they're kind of painting that as,
It's also painted as a very sinister thing all the way around.
yeah.
Like, and then she comes back and she's like, there is an afterlife, but it's not heaven. You're gonna go there soon, Mom.
That kind of stuff
Like,
just,
and talking to Judd about how his wife was burning in hell because of what he did to her.
yeah.
We never did find out what he did to her.
I'm going to go ahead and say
You
that,
think he buried her there too?
and I think he
Okay.
managed to kill her in his grief,
Hmm.
because, you know, he couldn't help himself.
Right.
Of course, I don't know. They never, remember in the original movie, they
Hmm.
actually did talk about
They
what
talked
happens
about,
when you bury a
yeah,
human there.
yeah,
Um,
but they didn't even talk about it in this one.
oh, they
But I
kind of
mean,
did. Remember towards the beginning, when Lewis got on the internet, was
hmm,
scouring the internet for
oh yeah,
clues.
yeah,
There was actually a news article there that said
there
something
were a
along the lines
few,
of somebody's body disappears from a funeral home.
yeah,
But it seemed like it was like maybe a war veteran.
yeah. It was
Um,
like a yeah. It was a
but yeah,
veteran. There was like a bull that came back, which like I'm just visualizing somebody dragging this bull's carcass to this
I was wondering
location.
that too.
Yeah, unless it's well, I mean, it is a big burial land because it showed. I did like with this movie that they showed you an aerial view of the whole area in the opening scene, and again at the end. Now that you knew everything that was going on, but they also like actually showed a map when the dad was doing research online. So I mean, it was a big burial
That
ground.
I mean, the path to it was big. The burial
Yeah.
ground itself, I don't think it was up at the
I'm
top of some steps.
Yeah, well, I'm
Um,
talking about like, well, it was like burial land. Like maybe there was multiple burial grounds in that burial land.
yeah, seems like the whole place was just gone to crap because they
Hmm.
abandoned the
Yeah,
entire area.
yeah,
The
and they talked
Indians did.
about how how
Um,
the Native Americans abandoned it
but yeah, this movie was
because of the Wendigo.
it.
Oh my God,
Like, I'll go ahead and tell y'all, like, especially
Freya.
if horror films,
Freya just scared the shit
if horror films,
out of me. Hi, baby.
I love you, Freya. Oh my God,
So
thank
cute.
you for showing up. Thank you. You were the greatest.
Anyway, she's purring. It's not always a good thing when they purr.
Hello.
Anyway.
That's actually pretty funny. That, like, seriously, this I figure we're towards the end, but
Hmm.
that is amazing that she popped up here for that just right at the end.
Startled me.
Oh, and the effect that it had. Well, um, this movie was great. Like I said, if you're a horror fan, if you're
Hmm.
easily scared by horror films, this movie will scare the hell out of you. And
Hmm.
this isn't just one of those movies that will scare you. This is a movie that's going to stick with you for a while.
Yeah.
You're going to think about this one for.
It gets you into your head and into your feelings.
Yep. It raises a lot of questions. It's a good movie to break the ice in, like, debate and
Hmm.
discussion about, death and the afterlife and morality and, things like that, because it's also one of those things that people could say they would do this all day long, but until they're in that position, nobody knows,
Yeah.
So, whew, God.
I was gonna say that, and then this one I felt was no. Granted, was watching a 1989 film in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt that this one was a much more serious horror film. Not that the original was not. I mean, I'm sure for the time it was horrifying. If I had seen it as a child, like I experienced most other Stephen King films, I probably would have been terrified of it too. But I felt like there were a couple scenes that were well. First of all, the acting was much more believable because '80s acting.
Yeah, I'll say
But
that when comparing all the actors, like, oh, is the '80s Rachel better or the new Rachel? Is the old
they,
Creed better, or the old
yeah,
Lewis, or the new one? Pretty much across the board. Sure, the 1980s versions have their place in my heart, but this movie was so much better, well acted. You're
yeah.
totally right on that.
Well, and then there's like little things that made the original one a little more campy, like Lewis is digging up Gage's body in the original, and the cops like shine their lights across, and he doesn't get caught, so he's like,
Yeah,
and like that just like broke the mood for him. Stuff like that broke the mood. The father-in-law attacking him during
at
the
the
funeral.
funeral. That was the old movie, not this one.
Yeah. I was like really like
Dramatic effect
for
is
no
all that.
reason, for no reason. And like I think they kind of removed some of that fluff, and I think it had a really significant impact.
Yeah, well,
I think this little girl is gonna show up in a lot more stuff as she gets older too.
yeah,
The little
yeah.
girl that played Ellie in this one.
The only issue that I have, well, not really issue, but the only way I can really, like, Fred Gwynn, the old man in the first one, he was a really great actor.
Yeah.
He carried the scenes that he was in the original. But at the same time, he kind of a creepy vibe to him.
Yeah.
Because he played Herman Munster in the old Munsters. He had that creepy vibe. Whereas, what's the man's
John
name?
Lithgow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a more friendly old man across the street, approachable, beard and the trucker hat. And I really want to sit and have a drink with this guy. He's just a cool
Yeah.
guy, nice. And
Well, and then the original, like he's like, "Hey, come and have a beer," but you're like, okay, I guess." Creepy old man across the street. Why not? You're gonna
well,
be my
in this movie, Lewis goes to him with the
Yeah.
whiskey. Of course, he does it just to drug him.
right.
But
Anyway.
yeah, this movie just overall from start to finish is a lot more believable affair. And how they, speaking of how they start the movie is everything has already gone to crap, and you know stuff's gone to crap, but they don't show you anybody, you don't know who's alive.
Yep.
But they're showing you the period where Gage is asleep and everybody is dead and gone to the cemetery.
Yeah.
And then
And then
the final
they
scene
show it to
picks
you
up.
in sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everything went to crap. It's just, hey, let's take a look at how we got there.
Yep.
And I mean, it is.
It was good.
Like,
It was
I
really
can't
good.
say anything else about it other than this movie is a mental roller coaster. And the effects are going to mentally stay with me for a while. And I'll go ahead and tell you, probably this is going to be a day one Blu-ray buy for me when it comes out. I'm going to want to watch this again at home
Yeah.
in the dark with the cats around.
Great. Sounds wonderful.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess that's it. We went a lot longer than I thought we were going to with this.
There's two movies and a book to kind of dissect.
That is true, and I wanted to discuss the book and everything. Oh, one little fact. In the book, Judd Crandall's wife is still alive.
Oh.
But about halfway through the book, she actually has a heart attack, dies of natural causes, and that's part of the teaching Ellie about death.
Yeah.
That's kind of where that comes
I
from.
think that's where the was it Misty? Was that her name? There was a lady in the original movie that was kind of like helping them out, helping them with their packing.
Oh,
and then she ends up like hanging herself in the
yeah, she
original
has
movie.
like back pain or stomach pain.
Stomach pain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably
and
like
she's
some
talking
kinda-
about how it would have been so nice to marry a doctor,
Yeah.
but I ain't never been married in my whole life.
God, I can't remember what that woman's name was.
Misty or Missy or
Yeah.
something like that. And I don't know. There that entire character kind of really didn't serve much purpose except as another death for
Yeah,
Ellie to be exposed to.
she served just yeah. I really I was hoping for this movie that his wife would still be alive and
Hmm.
that would be a part of it, but they I think they did a really good job.
Yeah.
Um, and they did a lot. See, in the book, the argument of how to deal with death and how to talk to the children about it and all that played a lot more central role,
Yeah.
and it didn't in the original.
Well, like, hi, stranger from across the street that we just met. Why don't you start talking serious or start discussing serious topics with our small child? That was the original.
Yeah,
This one, I don't know. I guess it.
in this one, in the new one, Rachel came across as a little more standoffish to begin with.
Hmm.
You know, because she was like, "Oh, come on."
Yeah, let's
Like,
go.
yeah,
Yeah. Instead of like, yeah, let's all go over here and hang out.
yeah. She was like, "Oh, let's wait till Lewis is around, and then we'll talk to this
Yeah.
dude, stranger from across the street."
Right. 1989 versus 2019.
It was, and it was neat because they had cell phones, and it you
Yeah.
could tell
Well, and like the part of the truck accident was that he was texting while he was driving, and that's why
oh, he was getting a phone call.
yeah,
Yep, and he looked down at his phone
at
and
his
wasn't paying
phone.
attention.
Mm-hmm. I appreciated that little bit of modernization.
They need to just show the scene of him getting the phone call, hitting the little girl, wrecking, and then don't text while driving, and then
It's a new ad,
yeah,
new PSA.
like have the cat pop up. Church says do not talk on the phone, like a little cartoon cat.
You can commission that from some artist somewhere.
It's like he,
Anyway.
like a little cartoon church. It's like all ragged and everything, and he's like holding up a phone. Bad things happen when you text and drive. Like how the Pet Cemetery in the background. Wow, I'm just coming up with all kinds of
crazy.
morbid, macabre ideas.
That's fun.
All right, everybody. Thank you for
Anyway.
joining us. Thank you for joining us for this awesome Pet Cemetery review. This is a live recap, full of spoilers right towards the end, and actually about the last 30 minutes of this 40-minute review. And that's going to be it for tonight. When are we going to be seeing you again?
It's a great question.
Because I know one of the main things when we've got our poll that's pinned to the top of the page right now, and I think like the top 4 things are like more retro games, more on location shots, something else, and then more of our other people, you included. So
yeah, and I saw more anime was right
more
there.
anime. There it is.
I'm like,
more
well,
on location
I can
shots,
do
more retro
anime
games,
and
more
more
anime,
me.
more clockwork. So.
Aw, thanks, guys.
I do. I think that'd be pretty cool for us to do like horror movie reviews. That'd be
Yeah.
that'd be a neat little project.
Tidbit that I noticed there, real quick, while we're on the topic of horror and anime. There's symbols on the trees in this burial ground,
Yes.
and one of them was almost identical to the symbol for the Leaf Village in Naruto. For anybody that's watching, I just thought that was really funny. Anyway, it's like the village where all the main
It
characters
could be
are
a
from.
neat little Easter egg.
I thought it was entertaining.
Like the designer of those things was probably like, "Her, I'm gonna sneak this in.
I'm gonna rotate this 90 degrees. Haha, they'll never know it's the Leaf Village in the forest.
Betty says,
Anyway.
"Thank you, Lonnie and Lady."
Lady,
Clockwork Calamity.
Clockwork Calamity.
Oh, so anyway, that sucks. Like Rocky's started watching just as soon as we start to
Aw.
wrap. Feel free to go back and watch our whole almost hour-long review of an hour and 40-minute movie. But there was a lot to cover because we talked.
I'm still standing by the fact that there's
Yep.
2 movies and a book to touch on.
Yep,
That's fine.
there was, and there's
Yeah.
no way you can talk about this movie without comparing it to the original and without also comparing it to the book that inspired both movies.
Yeah. I'll be thinking about it for a
One
while.
more thing. What is your favorite part about this movie?
My favorite part about this movie. Oh my gosh. That's a difficult question. That's a really hard question. I'm gonna have to think about that while you talk about your favorite
My
thing.
favorite part,
Hold on.
I would probably, as far as like a nod to the film, and my favorite part in this movie is the same as my favorite part in the original movie. I love the walk to the burial ground. I
Yeah.
love the just the creepy vibe, and I was so looking forward to. Like I was really thinking before we saw this movie that they were actually going to show the Wendigo or it was going to attack or something,
Mhm.
but you just kind of vaguely see it off in the distance in the
Mhm.
trees.
It's like alluded to.
Yeah, I mean you could tell it's
Mhm.
like this thing. They hear it in the book. I think he actually sees it at night when
Okay.
he's going to bury his son in
Mhm.
the book. Um, and they allude to the fact that it's like 2 stories tall. Thing's huge. It's like as tall as a tree, and he could
Mhm.
tell that it's out in the woods because he's hearing it knock trees over
Oh
as
wow.
it's barreling through the woods, and that scared the piss out of me when I was reading that book.
So just like the ambience that alluded to it was your
Just
favorite part.
from I just the build up of going and taking a body out there, and to see like I had a I was really just dying after I really started watching the original movie quite a bit because you know they had that burial ground and they showed the overhead shot of the ground with all the designs and stuff, and I was like, God, I want to find out where that is, and I want to
Mhm.
go
And see it.
and see it. I want to walk around out there. And because it's creepy as hell, and I probably shouldn't do it, but I wanted to.
Mhm.
And I did a little, just about 15 minutes of internet research, and found out that that was actually built on like a soundstage, and it no longer exists. And I was like,
That's unfortunate. Um, I was supposed to be thinking about my favorite part, and I thought about it, and I still don't really have an answer. It's not necessarily like a part of the movie, but I really thought the timing in a lot of the movie was perfect. Like the one really good jump scare that we talked about before, it was like it was effective because of the timing. The timing of when they made you think that she was gonna slice him in the heel, and then went on about some other stuff, and then she ended up doing it again later, and like or doing it and actually doing it that time.
yes.
The fact that they went through the whole section of like, all right, well now the entire family wants to like be undead together and let's everybody kill each other and go get buried and come back. They like went through all of that quickly enough that it didn't get boring. Like if they had drug each scene out as long as it took for him to bury Ellie and for her to come back, it would have been like a drag. But kill the mom, she comes back, kill the dad or kill the mom, drag her off, kill the dad. Mom's back, kills the dad, and then now we're walking back and dad's back too.
Well, you know, he was
And
knocked out for a big chunk of that, and then
well, yeah. But
that
I
was a good
mean,
storytelling dynamic.
yeah. Yeah, but it's like one of those things though that like if you're going to do the same thing over and over again, you can't drag it out. So
You
I'm
know
glad
what?
that it all happened quickly.
Forget my favorite part of this movie. My favorite part was the very end.
Yeah.
The ending did this because I was
I was going to say that too.
holy crap,
Actually.
that kid is screwed.
Yeah.
There is no happy ending for this kid.
Mhm.
Like I feel
Nope.
unless he just gets lucky and a cop decides to drive by or something.
Plot twist, they kill him. He's the one that goes to heaven because he was a baby.
Wow.
Anyway.
Whew. Okay. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
thank you everyone
Anyway.
for watching. This has been super fun. What do you think about our little logo down there? I pulled that off
I like
Google
it.
this morning. I was
Yeah,
like,
it
we're
looks
gonna
like
look
it
up
came straight off the book cover.
pretty close. So anyway, thank y'all for watching. I wanted to real quick just say that I looked it up just now. The movie actually scores 74% on Rotten Tomatoes out of 87 reviews. So it's If it keeps it up, it's going to be certified fresh. So, good movie.
It's pretty good for Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep. So, thank you everyone for watching. I'm Lonnie.
And Clockwork Calamity.
And we are Untitled Nerd Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux and your local Satanist out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And you never know, this might be the first of many horror movie reviews with us. So, we'll see everybody later on. And thanks for watching. Try not to pet any undead cats tonight.